If you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to drop your 40 time effortlessly, you're in the right spot. Now, throughout my life, I have a very interesting story when it comes to my speed. My speed has always gone up, down, up, down, up, down. It's been insane. For example, going into 7th grade, I was always the fastest dude on the team. I was beating high school receivers in races. I was doing that and I was really going crazy. But then going into the season, I got tendonitis in my hip and I couldn't run fast, and my coaches thought I was jogging the entire time I was on the field, but really I had tendonitis in my hips. And the very next year, when I was in 8th grade, I ran a 4.840 in 8th grade. I felt like the man, okay? But then the year coming up, when I was going into high school, I thought I had to get big and strong. And so I put on a whole bunch of weight and my 40 went up to a 5.1. And like, I felt so bad. I was getting bigger, but I wasn't putting on muscle the right way. And so counterintuitively, my speed went down because I was putting on weight and I was eating too much food. But then as I'm in high school, my sophomore year, I get it down to like a 4.8, 4.9. And then after that, in my junior year, I get it to a 4.5. Okay, and then going to my senior year, it goes up to like a 4.6 or 4.7. And then after my senior year, I'm running a 4.4. So it's always been up, down, up, down, up, down. It's always been weird. Whenever I first began this journey, I thought the only way to get faster was to run 20 sprints a day, 20 sprints up a hill, 30 sprints up the hill. I used to do that, and I used to run until I'm tired and then do some more after I'm gassed. I used to think that's the only way to get faster. But then as I started to hang out more with the track coach at my high school, and he coached football too, whenever I started to hang out more with him and do some more work with him, he really taught me the ins and outs on how to get faster. And that's how I went from a 5.1 to a 4.4. And the things he's taught me, I'm gonna teach you in this video, because I actually got faster by doing way less work than running 20 hill sprints, 30 hill sprints. I remember me and my friend, we used to go to a hill and run hill sprints. Bro, those hill sprints are good, don't get me wrong, but 30 back to back to back, come on now. Looking back at it, that was not helpful. That did not make me any better by running just straight hill sprints. It got my stamina up, but running hill sprints back to back to back to back to back, that's not gonna get you faster. Now I'm gonna show you how you can literally get faster by running less than 20 sprints a week. I was doing that in an entire day. Now I realize that you don't even have to run that much in an entire week to get faster. And I've been doing that ever since, and now I'm a Division I football player. All right, first thing you gotta do is you gotta shift your perspective. In regards to sprinting, training less hours is better for you. You don't need to go balls to the wall, go hard every single day, run sprints 6 days a week. No. That is not going to get you faster, and it is probably getting you slower, and it's probably hurting your joints more than you realize. And don't think working out 6 days a week is a flex, because in reality, it's really not a flex. Some of my other videos I explain this, but if you've never seen this channel before, I've worked out 6 days a week for multiple months, and I ended up tearing my ACL twice by doing that and by overworking my body. So don't think that going balls to the wall, high intensity every day, 6 days a week is what's gonna get you better, is what's gonna get you faster, what's gonna drop your 40 time, because it's not. So number one thing is to shift your perspective and on sprinting, and then now number two, the actual sprinting. The first step to dropping your 40 down is to structure your schedule for 2 days a week of you sprinting. So it could be Tuesday, Thursday, it could be Monday and Wednesday. At least 2 days you're running full speed sprints on those days when you're at the most fresh, okay? You can do 3 times a week, but in all honesty, I think 2 times really the sweet spot. 3 times is okay. I've never done 4 times. The most I've ever done is 3 times a week. So 2 to 3 times a week of days where you're running 40-yard sprints at your freshest after your dynamic warm-up. You need to have a plan for a dynamic warm-up too, because what some people don't realize is whenever some people, and you could be doing this too, and I learned this very early and I'm so grateful that I learned it, is that when you're doing your dynamic warm-up, your A skip, your B skip, your speed marches, your jumps, if you're going through the motions, that's making you slower. But more on that later. You need to have a good dynamic warm-up in, and the days in between you sprint, you need to have plyo days. So on the days in between you sprint, you do not sprint at all. unless you're training for your skill, like you're doing some football workouts. I mean, it's not like over 20-30 yards of you running, then I mean that's fine, you can do that in between. But the days in between, you really want to do plyometrics. The thing with plyometrics is there are so many variations of plyometrics. You can get super creative with them. You can keep it super basic if you want. They all really help. And just to give you some in this video, you can do box jumps, you can do broad jumps, you can do split jumps, you can do skater jumps. Literally any type of jumping for days in between is fine. Literally any time. I like jump ropes. You can really do 5 minutes of jump rope every day. That's what I used to do. You can do jump ropes on the days in between. Bro, you can get super creative with plyos. You can do the plyos that you like. I love doing plyos. You can do some hurdle hops. Like, you can do so much. You can do those before you sprint on the sprinting days, and the days in between you can have mainly plyos. 3 to 5 plyometric exercises on the days you're not sprinting. Okay, so you got 2 days of you full speed sprinting. The days in between, so about at least three times a week, you need to be doing plyometrics. Really 5 times a week. You can mix plyometrics in with your warm-up. I do some in my warm-up, or you can mix it in with what I'm about to talk to you about right now, and that's lifting weights. And my favorite way of lifting weights is something called HIIT training, not HIIT, not high intensity interval training. I'm talking about high intensity training, where you're lifting weights super slow, I guess, and you're going to failure, and you want to fail around 6 to 8 reps. That's for strength. If you want to get bigger, then you want to fail at like 10 to 12 reps. But for strength, I would do around 5 to 6 to 8 reps of you failing, because that really gets you the stimulus. That's what got my 40 down from a 4.4. Whenever my senior year ended, I told you I ran like a 4.6 or 4.7 during my senior year. When my senior year ended, I didn't run at all, but I lifted super heavy, and I went to failure on my lifts. And in my first day sprinting, I ran a 4.4. But after 3 months, that's crazy. That's still crazy. I don't know how. I do know how, but I just still think that's crazy. Personally, my favorite lower body lift to help with building strength, because strength translates into speed when you put it in the proper mechanics. That's why I'm telling y'all to lift weights, so y'all get strong. That turns into you being explosive. My favorite lift is Bulgarian split squats. It's not my favorite lift because it's fun. It's not fun, but I've seen the most benefits from it, I feel like. In my personal situation, I feel like I've seen the most benefits from doing Bulgarian split squats. And make sure you're not lifting through the heels. Make sure you're lifting through the balls of your feet, and you do that, and you do progressive overload. If you don't know what progressive overload is slowly upping the weight over time. You did 50 pounds on split squats this week, do 55 next week do 60, you know what I mean. And you can do that with all your leg workouts. If you want to learn more about HIIT training, you can join in my community, and I talk about it a little bit. But whenever I think about HIIT training, I think about this dude named Jay Vincent. Go subscribe to him, go watch his videos. He's the one that really put me on to HIIT training. Whenever I say lifting to failure, I mean make sure you can't finish your last rep. It could be 1 set to failure for all your lifts. If you're truly going to the last rep you can't finish. That's what I mean by lifting to failure. You don't have to do 5 sets lifting to failure. You can do 1 set, you can do 2 sets. 1 to 3 sets I feel like is fine. So before you even go sprinting, you need to structure your week. So sprint twice a week. You can do plyometrics 3 to 5 times a week. And then lift. For lifting, I say, depending on your goals, your specific goals, you can lift anywhere from 1 time a week to 4 times. But if you're already experienced in lifting, I wouldn't lift more than 3 times a week, okay? And now talking point number 3, what your actual speed day should look like when you're running sprints, because this is a video about dropping your 40. First things first, the main focus of the day is running 40s, obviously. And we want to run anywhere from 3 to 6 40s depending on where you're comfortable. And this is right after your dynamic warm-up. And I said I would talk about that later, and this is what I was talking about, is to really go hard in your dynamic warm-up. Not like do everything back to back to back, but whenever you're putting your foot in the ground, make sure you're putting that foot in the ground as hard as you can. As hard as you can. Make sure you're putting as much power into the ground as hard as you can. So on your speed march, you do that. On your A skips, you do that. On your B skips, you do that. High knees, You can do these single leg jumps, these prime times. Every time you're doing these things, you need to put as much power in the ground as you possibly can. That's something I did when I was getting my 40 down, and it helps so much. That's really a cheat code whenever you're in tune with your body and your body knows to just push as hard as you can. After that good dynamic warm-up in, you run your 40 yards and then you rest 5 minutes rest in between. That is a whole lot of time for you to catch your breath and for you to feel fresh for the next 40. 5 minutes rest in between. I'm telling you, once my coach told me that and he had us doing that, getting faster felt like the easiest thing in the world. A lot of people, they think they gotta run 40s, 30 seconds rest, run more 40s, 30 seconds run. No. If your goal is conditioning, yeah, sure. But if our goal is getting faster, no, we need to train when we're at our freshest. So those are your speed days. And now step number 4, actually doing it. Yes, you need to actually do this. Surprise, surprise, watching this video isn't gonna get you faster. Surprise. But on a serious note, yes, we need to do this. We need to be relentlessly consistent. We need to stay true to this schedule, and we can't let anything take this off of our schedule. This means if you got a busy day, man, run your 40s right like at 6 a.m. if you have to. It all depends on how far you're willing to go. Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing to sacrifice the time with your friends? Are you willing to sacrifice the time with your girl just so you can go run these 40s and get faster? We got to actually do it, and it comes with consistency over time. And I know I say that, but then whenever I ran a 4.4, I wasn't running for about 3 months. But before that, that's all I was doing. That's all I was doing. Whenever I was training my speed, I would do that same thing for about a year, 2 years. I did that same thing for about 2 years. So we need to be consistent. We got to get rid of distractions. We got to hit the track. We got to hit the field whenever we say we're going to hit the track or hit the field, okay? And just a bonus tip for y'all. I wish I learned this sooner. Whenever I was training for speed, training for explosiveness when I was in high school, I wish that I learned this sooner, and it's to eat your carbs. Whether it's jasmine rice, whether it's sweet potatoes, pasta, eat your carbs. They are so good for your joints. They are so good for your fast twitch muscle fibers. Please eat them. That fuels your body the right way, and do not neglect them, because fat does not fly. Fat does not fly, and so whenever you starve yourself, people like to think, oh, to starve myself of carbs. No, please do not starve yourself of carbs. I'll talk about more about fat doesn't fly and all of that in this video right here, so go check it out. It's how to become super explosive, kind of similar to this video. But fat doesn't fly, but at the same time, do not restrict your calories, because that you won't get faster. You won't drop your 40 like that. Now, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment. I see all the comments. I appreciate all the comments. And yeah, if you're a football player and you want to keep on learning more about how to become a better football player, man, subscribe to this channel, watch it. And if you like my videos, you like what I have to say about getting better at football, I have this community. It's in the description. I'm gonna link it right here. It's where you can interact with other football players. It's where you can learn more in-depth ways of training. If you're a receiver, you learn how to be unguardable. You can learn how to reprogram your mindset, how I did all these things. If you want to learn that, man, go check it out. Now that you know how to run past everybody, now you got to know how to deal with pressure. Now that you're such a good athlete, now you got to learn how to deal with pressure and how to fix your mindset. And you can do that by watching this video right here.